Hi, in this video I'm going to be showing you how I reproduce decals or stickers for bikes that I'm renovating. On this particular bike the decals are really simple, so it's a great example for me to show you how I go about doing it. Right, I've traced my decals, I've scanned them in using the flatbed scanner on my printer. The decals on the chain guard were quite long, so I had to cut that into, I think it was 3 segments in the end, and I'll show you how I bring them together on the software program a little bit later. For the decals, to get a good quality one, you really need a vector based program. You can use Inkscape, which is a free one that you can just download off the web. I personally use something called Affinity Designer. It's relatively cheap. If you get it when they have the sales, you can pick it up for about £20 to £30, and for me this works better, but they all work in a similar sort of way. This one's just a bit more intuitive, I find. So we look here, I've created a blank sheet. When I've created the blank sheet, I've created it with a blank background. If I come down here and show you the properties, document setup, you'll see here that it's you can dictate what size of sheet you want. So if you change that to millimeters, you can modify the size for whatever size decal that you want. I generally stick it to A4. However, if I've got something that's bigger than A4, I normally modify these dimensions here just to make them that little bit larger, so that the whole large decal can sit on it. And as a rule, I normally put 20 dpi in here. 20 dpi, 200 dpi in here. That 200 is the same as the resolution of the scanner when I scan the images in there. So that's the sheet that I've created, and then what I work with is layers here. You'll see I've got a number of layers down the side and I put different things on each of those layers. So what I did is, the images that I scanned in, I opened them up with a program, so you'll find out where those images are. So for instance, this one here, this is a JPEG that came in off the scanner, and you can see I've got my bit of tracing paper here. I can basically go in and cut and paste that, so you can select a window around things, cut, and then I pasted it into my blank sheet. So with the decal I was looking at earlier, which is my seat tube decal, the first thing I did was bring that in. I then drew a line across here, so I did like a straight line. See, if you've got your snapping on, you can do that. And then I kind of lined that line up so that it was pretty much horizontal. So this sticker here came in actually came in a little bit crooked, but if you select on that, you can actually change the angle of it. There's various rotate functions and what have you. So when I got this in, when I lined it up, the next thing I wanted to do was just start detailing stuff up. So if I start with the text here, this is the layer that I produced for this. So you can see I did a series of lines, joined it all up, created an image and filled that in to give myself the text. I then looked at putting the colours on the outside, which you can see there. So again, this is all lined up to the little dots I've got there, and I pulled them onto it. It's important with these here, you see where you've got the light blue, the mid blue and the darker blue. What I like to do with that is I like to just have them as fill. So if you look up here, I've got fill and outer stroke. I'll normally draw the outline with the strokes, join all the lines together, and then that creates an entity that I can fill. And then once I've filled that, I just bring the actual stroke down to 0 so you can't see it. So you can see there, I'd normally have that at about 1/2 mil or something. So the black stroke's on there, I fill it in, and then once I've put the fill on the inside, I take the stroke out the way so that I get the solid colour that I'm looking for. So I've got my basic outlines there, I've got my black bit, I've got my coloured bits here, and then what I also have is behind here these white, apart from the P, which is red. So you'll see I've got a layer here called background colours. I flick that on and you can see the whites in this direction, the whites in this position, the reds in this position, and I've got like a light grey colour at the back. That signifies the silver colour of the label that I'm going to be using. Then the key thing after that is to actually create an outline, and that's the outline that the printers will use when they cut the label. Now the printers request a magenta line about 0.25 points diameter, not diameter, thickness. So you'll see here I have a guide which I switch on. Actually switched off the curve itself. The guide here, and that is what the printer will look at as the outline for the cutout. So that's the line that will cut across, and as you can see on that, that's 0.3, which is 0.25 rounds up to that on here. And if we take off the other layers, you can see kind of how that lines up with the outlines of the label that I originally did. So there we go, label created, lovely. That's just ready to cut and put onto a master sheet. I'll put all my stickers onto a master sheet. What I do is I contact the printers, find out what their standard width is and what their standard height is. So I think you normally get the width of their standard sheet by a certain height of sheet, and they'll do that for you for what, £15, and you can fill it up with as many stickers as you want. The thing I've got to do with this one is, because this is a silver background, I've never actually done stickers with a silver background before. I've got to get in touch with the printers and find out how we handle that. Once I get that information back from them, I'll let you know. So that's one of the stickers. I've done a whole load of other stickers. So that's the seat tube. If you look at this, you might be wondering why the cut line goes over the top of one of my black marks. Well, they recommend that you have run out wherever the cut line is. So if you have a cut and the colour goes up to the edge of that cut, they always reckon you should protrude an extra couple of mil beyond that. So you see the background that's silver, I've got quite a bit sticking beyond the side of that, so when we cut it, there's no chance of me getting just a white background. However, where the black is here, if I cut and if there's any minor drift on that, you can be guaranteed that that edge will be black. So we have that there. I've got my fork decals and a couple of little labels up here. I have my top tube decal. I also have so I've got fork, down tube. Actually, I'm showing you the down tube. I've got the down tube decal there, and then the final one I'm going to open here is the one where I had to stitch a number of scans together. So that's the finished product. Again, if I scan this back, my layers might not be as good on this one. So there's your background. So you can see here there's three little sheets. So I've got this sheet here, this sheet here, and then this little snippet at the back end. So I basically produced a sheet which was the right width that I could fit everything on, in the right height so that everything can fit into it. I think it's a standard A4 height. I just stretched the width of it, and then I brought the sheets in individually and just rotated them round and lined them up, and then that forms the template for me to create my decals for the chain guard on here. So you can see I have a number of different bits there that I've used to build it up. You'll see where I've got the little excuse me. See in here I've got a little sticker that I'll need cutting out, so that's just sitting nicely in there. And it'll cut along all these magenta lines, so you can see I've overrun these blue lines and red lines because they go up to the edge, and I've just got the magenta cut going through that. So there we go. That's a brief overview on how I do this. If there's any questions, by all means give me a shout and I'll try and help out on another video. There's lots of tutorials on how to use Affinity Designer or Inkscape that are on YouTube, so you can always refer to them for a few tips. That's basically what I did for that, for what I've got here. I guess if anybody specifically wants me to do a video where I can show how I created the vectors that produce the text here, I can do that. It might be a bit of a boring video to watch, but if it'll help anybody out there, I'm more than willing to do that. So there we have it. I've got my artwork now. I've just got to put it onto a single strip, which I'll do after I've spoke to the printers. I'll pop up a video of that, and we'll move on with the rest of the renovation of the bike. Thanks for your time, and hope you'll join us again soon. Bye. Hi, thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe to my channel, and then you'll get notifications whenever I release a video, and you never know, you might find something interesting in one of them. Can canny.